In honor of the release of Wednesday starring Jenny Ortega, I decided to sit down and watch what introduced me to the Addams Family itself. That being the 1991 adaptation, of course, titled The Addams Family. I believe this is for most where the Addams Family was basically brought to the mainstream again. The Addams Family have as long of a history as the superheroes we see today, starting as a comic back in 1938, the same year as Superman was introduced. While times have changed, very rarely have the Addams. I think that's a certain part of their charm, a sort of fish out of water type story, but they don't seem to try to assimilate to the day and age, which of course I believe is for the better. Now into the film. The film is gorgeously gothic. While simple in its shots and cinematography, the production design and every department that went into making the Addams house should get a round of applause. The Gothic structure would have been amazing in the first place and fit with the Addams. It's really run down, and the overgrown nature of the building and the sets that really ferment and establish Addams, even if you never heard of them before, would easily set who these people are and what they do. According to IMDb, $100,000 were put into the exterior itself, and it was money really well spent. Makes the home be a character itself as well as the Addams. Nearly every actor is attached to these roles. Everyone is nearly pitch perfect, sliding right into the role itself. The late great Raul Julia plays Gomez in the most perfect performance, capturing the obsession he has with his wife Morticia in an ecstasy in his performance. Also, the vigor and prestige he brings to the movie really melts himself with Gomez. Jessica Huston plays Morticia Addams, the queen of the household. She embodies the role perfectly, often bringing the most Addams-esque performance of all. She really gave it her all. Throughout the process of filming, to be able to portray the slim and slender figure of Morticia, she had to wear a metal corset and a ton of makeup done to look the part. And if you've ever seen a woman get into a normal corset, a metal one is not any better. Huston looked and breathed the part, getting kind of like a Bela Lugosi from Dracula breath to the character. She feels mysterious, but also like we know what she's capable of. Of course, one of the most famous parts of the movie and the sequel itself, and just the actress in general, Christina Ricci, who plays Wednesday and returns in the Wednesday series that inspired this review. This is the Wednesday we all fell in love with. Well, a background character for a decent chunk of the movie, every bit we get with her instantly becomes a classic. The monotone yet sass is what we've grown accustomed to expect, and what I expect from Ortega's performance.
What are you, darling? Where's your costume?
This is my costume. I'm a homicidal maniac. They look just like everyone else.
Mainly just due to how good Richie is in this role. Christopher Lloyd is the last part I'll get to with the cast. He plays Uncle Fester, while for the most part he plays this straight up like a normal person who walked onto a Addams Family film, which I guess for his character throughout the film is what it should be, but Lloyd is a phenomenal actor. It doesn't seem like he's giving his all throughout, but still cements himself as Fester in most of our minds, which is a very interesting thing to look through. The story overall is pretty cut and dry. Feels very 80s, early 90s, which, well, is when this was made. Guy owes money, doesn't have it, attempts to rob a much richer family with help of those he owes money to. Kind of similar to Home Alone, actually. While the story remains simple, it's for the betterment of the movie. It lets the characters live and breathe. The dark comedy of the Addams is what makes them great. And here it's perfectly done. From the little gags to the puns, every joke in this movie hits in one way or another. However, this movie is 30 years old. Some of the pop culture jokes are very dated, and well, it can leave you confused if you've never heard of the people they are referencing. In my opinion, it could have been left out due to, well, the Addams Family being this ageless wonder of a concept. They didn't really need that. They had plenty of jokes that would have landed in that decade and also in this one. Like I said, the story is simple here, and ending feels very, we have to end this somehow. They kind of shoved in the use of Chekhov's gun in where it was used as a joke early on, and probably should have stayed that way with how poor the visual effects have aged. They do couple out on Uncle Fester though. Throughout, Lloyd is playing a character acting as Fester to trick the Addams into letting him join and later infiltrate their fortune. After the story is wrapped up, they fast forward 7 months and reveal that he is indeed Fester the whole time with amnesia. It's a very poor reveal, and it feels like I said, a cop out. Overall, this movie is as great as it was when I first saw it. Every performance and every joke still holds up, and if you haven't seen it or haven't seen it in ages, it's worth the rewatch. And it's also still the greatest adaptation, in my opinion, of the Addams Family. Of course, I actually haven't seen the sequel, Addams Family Values, so if you'd like me to cover that, let me know, I'll get to work on it. But remember to subscribe, it is always free. I'm the Bad Duck, and have a good night.